In this section, we're going to talk about different ways that you can use the HTML5 canvas in applications. From there, we'll talk about browsers that support it, and we'll talk about how you can write a little bit of JavaScript code to detect if a browser supports the canvas or not. From there, I'm going to show you some live demos of the canvas in action. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the course introduction, the canvas is all about drawing and rendering graphics. If you think about a painter, if they want to paint something, they'll typically get out an easel, put a canvas on there, we'll say it's a white canvas, and then they'll use their paintbrush, dip it in some colors, and paint different scenes. Well, if you think about the Canvas API as being very similar, we're going to have a canvas, we're going to have a paintbrush, and using JavaScript, we're going to call different functions to render different shapes and draw text, and we can call some properties and set values to control things such as the color of what we're actually going to paint onto the canvas. Now, there's a lot of great examples of using the canvas out there. One of the popular things it's used for nowadays is HTML5 games. There's a lot of games and more coming out every day that are HTML5 based solely on the canvas, and that's because the canvas performs very well. It's a pixel based API, and in some browsers it even uses the GPU, so it's very fast and efficient. Now, of course, it's not only used for games. You can use it for multimedia applications. Microsoft, on their beautyoftheweb.com site, had a really nice demo that shows someone doing an a cappella type song, and you can control the volume of the different parts, including the bass, the singing, and others. And you can actually drag around these little pictures, and these are live videos when you run it. And as you drag these around, they'll kind of snap back. They're on an elastic band, and everything that you see on here is actually using the canvas. A pretty creative way to show audio and visual in the same app, and something that we really couldn't do with just HTML tags alone in JavaScript. The canvas is pretty essential. Another thing you might see with the canvas, and a very popular thing nowadays for line of business applications or applications showing data, is charting. Here's one from an application from another course I did, and this particular application showed charts from the Dow, the NASDAQ, S&P, as well as custom quotes that a user might want to get. And you can see that it simply plots out the different data. And what's nice about this is no plugins were used. It's all 100% HTML5 canvas, which means basically one tag and a little bit of JavaScript. And that's really the nice thing about the canvas is it's native to all modern browsers, and it's also very efficient in how it renders. Now, there's a lot of browsers that support the canvas. Pretty much every modern browser out there can be used. Safari, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Opera, and even some others that are a little less popular. But as long as they're modern, it's a pretty good bet that you can use the canvas with them. Now, how do you know, though? What you can do is either write code on your own, or you could use what I'd recommend, and that is Modernizer. Now, Modernizer is a JavaScript library that you can download for free from modernizer.com. It's a single script you can include in a web page, and you can use it to perform feature detection. Now, if you've been doing web development for a long time, you might have done browser sniffing in the past, where we actually detect the browsers such as IE6, IE8, Firefox 3, 4, or whatever it may be. And that was a pretty error-prone way to determine what we could do in a particular web application. With Modernizer, we focus on feature detection. We can actually use it to say, hey, I want to know if this browser supports the canvas, or SVG, or local storage, or whatever HTML5 feature you may be using. Now, this code sample here shows how, if you've referenced Modernizer in a page, you can use it to detect canvas support. So if Modernizer canvas is true, then we can go ahead and start integrating our Canvas API code. Else, we could fall back to some other technology for older browsers, such as maybe one of the plugins, such as Flash or Silverlight. And that's the type of process you'll go through to detect if a browser has support for the canvas or not. Now, you certainly don't have to use Modernizer, but it's used in a lot of other ways as well, and I highly recommend it. So let's take a look at a couple demonstrations of the canvas in action and show you different ways it can be used.